Hello, everyone. Welcome to a brand new episode of Q&A with Sridhar Kunte and I, Conchita Fernandez. In these set of videos, we will be looking at questions sent to us by you that cover technique, jargon, and camera operations. So let's begin with the first question. It comes from Siddhant Shukla from Indore. Siddhant asks, what is the exposure triangle?
Hello, Siddhant. Thank you very much for sending a question. And I am actually looking forward more from all the readers and viewers to send more and more questions to us. Exposure triangle, as it says, so there are three variables to it. So there are three values or the three settings I can say in the camera which actually determines the final exposure. So let's come to the first. First is the ISO, second aperture, and the third one is the shutter speed. So to get the correct exposure, you need to dial in the correct values for all these three parameters to get the best exposure possible for the particular image or the particular shot. For example, these three values, if I can say hypothetically, for these three values, the sum of three values is 10. So you can get the sum of 10 by adding these three values in many different possible parameter ways. So like 2 plus 4 is 6 and plus 4 is 10. So this is the one example. So you can have the another combination of 1 plus 1 plus 8, so 10. So you can dial in different values to get the correct exposure, and to have more creativity, you can play with these three parameters to get the final correct exposure, which will enhance your image and which will show the character of that particular image.
Okay, perfect. Ritika Jain from Pune asks, what is the depth of field and why is it important?
Uh, Depth of field is a zone of sharpness from the closest to the farthest in the image, the distance in the image in which the sharpness is acceptable. Uh, so depth of field will be dependent on three different parameters. First is the distance of the subject from the camera. Other one is the selection of the focal length of the lens, and the third one is the aperture. One thing readers or the viewers should note that the depth of field never dependent on the shutter speed. It is the only dependent on the aperture, focal length, and the distance of the subject from the particular lens. Why it is important? It is important in many ways. For say example, for if you are shooting landscapes, you need the larger depth of field. So from the zone of focus, from the closest to the farthest, should be all seen should be equally sharp. So for that, you need to choose the smallest aperture. That is the highest number I can say. So f22, f16, uh, while capturing the landscape. Even that is good for shooting macros. The other thing, the best use of depth of field you can use while shooting portrait outdoors, and you want to enhance your subject by throwing the background out of focus. For that particular reason, you can use the longer focal length lens like 100 mm, 200 mm, and shoot the image at the widest aperture. That is, say, if a 2.8 is the widest in the particular lens, shoot at f2.8, or if it is 85 mm lens and the aperture available is say 1.4 or 1.8, use that aperture to enhance your subject and throw the background completely out of focus.
Soumya Kanolkar from Mumbai asks, what are the basic rules for macro photography?
It is really difficult to give that answer to the particular question, but macro photography, you need to have macro lens if possible. Otherwise, you can shoot the close-up with the focal length, which is the largest in your kit lens. So if it is 1855 lens, try to shoot at the 55 mm point, focal length point. Use the smallest, smallest aperture, not smallest aperture, I can say f22 or f16 to get the sharpness, the zone of sharpness, what we discussed in my earlier answer about the depth of field. So we will get to the larger depth of field in while you are using the aperture of f16 or f22. The other most important thing, the subject plane and the camera CCD or the sensor plane should be parallel to each other. They should not be like angled this way or that way. In that case, very few section of your image will be sharp, and other the section in the same image what you want to enhance in your final photograph will be out of focus. So remember that these 3 points. While and other most importantly, you need to mount the camera on a very steady support, preferably a tripod, while shooting a macro, and use a cable release.
Okay. Our last question is by Shalini Vaidya from Bangalore. Shalini asks, how and when should one use pop-up flash?
Shalini, you're like, I like this question actually. So there are flash which is provided in the camera, is a tiny, and it has got a very low guide number as compared to the external flash. So it is not as powerful as the studio light or an on-camera flash which you mount on the hot shoe. So when to use it? There are many ways. If you want to have the addition of ambient light plus the flashlight, see the flashlight is just a puff of light which will throw in your final image, considering the guide number is very low. So you have to be very close to the subject if you are shooting a person. The other thing you need to remember that to remove the lens hood if you are using the lens hood on the lens while using the built-in flash. Why? Uh, there is a lot of chance that the lens hood will cast a shadow in your final image on the background or on the subject itself. So it is better not to use the lens hood while using the inbuilt flash. And inbuilt flash, you can use it if possibility is your camera, you can use it with rear curtain sync or the front curtain sync. Front curtain is the normal sync, what I can say. The rear curtain sync will add some interesting effect if you are photographing moving subject with the built-in flash.
Okay. So that's it. That's a wrap for this episode. Thank you everyone for joining us. Don't forget to send us your questions to our Facebook and Instagram page using the hashtag Q&A with Sridhar Kunte. Thank you, Sridhar. We'll see you all next Friday.